I've got breaking news to share with you regarding the Ripple versus SEC case. The SEC has come out with their initial request for the penalty of primary sales. We're going to talk about the penalty, what's involved in the penalty, how far will this go, and the reactions from Brad and the crew. Start it off with your comments because the viewer matters most, and then we're going to get into the juice. And I would appreciate a like and subscribe if you like the content that you're about to see. But Fullify says Ripple's business is all just selling XRP. The financial statements also confirm that XRP sales remain nearly all of Ripple's total revenue through 2023. Yeah, some deets are coming out and exposing what's going on. Let's get to the heat map. 70,987. That's BTC getting ready to touch a new ETH. That's what I said. You should get ready to touch it. Touching that subscribe button down below. ETH 3645. XRP still up 2.11% last 24 hours. Not fazed by the news. Aptos making a big move. ICP pumping big to 1878. Near almost at $8. But let's get into it. The SEC has judged Torres for a final judgment in the Ripple lawsuit. Now, this has not been granted. This is what the SEC has proposed. A public version of the SEC's remedies-related brief was filed in the court after redactions. The arguments are primarily based on violations of Section 5 of the Securities Act of 1933, conducting unregistered sales offerings of XRP to institutions. The argument is also based on Judge Torres' summary judgment order on July 13th, which means the SEC has not argued any fraud in simply targeting the growth of Ripple despite a lawsuit. You ready for the penalty? Now remember though, we still got to go through the approval of this. You got Ripple still having to do their reply. And by the way, their reply is going to be in April. So we got some time. The SEC wants Judge Torres to grant a proposed order in its favor to force Ripple to pay $876 million in disgorgement. Additionally, it seeks $198 in prejudgment interest and $876 million in civil penalties. That is a $2 billion fine. The SEC claims that Ripple's post-compliant XRP sales are mostly to institutions and that the sales have harmed investors as the company even failed to disclose discounts to institutional investors. Essentially what they're saying is they have been selling XRP to institutions, not at market, but below. They've been providing discounts to institutions, which means you are always paying full price for XRP, but Ripple is dumping their XRP at a discount to institutions. So even if the price goes down, those institutions are making money and you are not. Now, Brad and the crew have reacted to this, and let's get to it. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse said the $2 billion penalty is illogical based on no allegations, let alone findings of fraud or recklessness. There is absolutely no precedent for this. And remember when I did that video yesterday and I said there's going to be some big news. I said March 26th finally, and everyone's like, bro, nothing's happening on that date. I said, no, they're going to file for the penalties and we're going to see what they are looking for. And that's right, $2 billion. Here's the problem. There is absolutely no precedent for this. Instead, Garlinghouse highlights the SEC's gross abuse of power in the debt box case, acting without faithful allegiance to the law. Well, guess what though, Brad? This is what they're asking for penalties-wise, and the judge already said that primary sales were a violation. So all we're determining now is not if your primary sales were right or wrong, but what is the penalty for it? Let's get to the tweets here. Brad says, Gensler's SEC has repeatedly acted outside the law, not going unnoticed by judges admonishing the agency for gross abuse of power entrusted by Congress. That's what has to do with the debt box case. And for acting without faithful allegiance to the law. Let's also not forget Gensler's lack of attention to the SBF fraud. Now, look, I'm going to be dead honest with you here because remember, I bring the news both good and bad. Brad, you can say whatever you want about debt box. You can say whatever you want about SBF. This is about you and Ripple and primary sales, and the SEC is going after the jugular. Stuart Alderati says, as you will see, the SEC's brief is made public tomorrow. They will ask the judge for $2 billion in fines and penalties. Our response will be filed next month. But as we have seen time and time again, this regulator trades in statements that are false, mischaracterized, and designed to mislead. Rather than faithfully apply the law, the SEC remains bent on wanting to punish and intimidate Ripple and the industry. We trust the court will approach the remedies phase fairly. So now what's going to happen is you're going to have Ripple respond with their reply. There's going to be some going back and forth. Remember, all this stuff is going to be redacted too. So what you're going to see when the actual filing is made public is the redacted version of it. So then they're going to be talking about, well, hey, wait a minute. This is what we suggest the penalties to be. We are going to be at this for a long, long time. The scary part about this is if this fine goes through and we get anywhere near the $2 billion mark, that is going to give the SEC the green light to just rip through crypto. None of the most damaging parts that came out of this, though, was the showing that Ripple's money, right? The money that Ripple makes is primarily coming from the sale of XRP, not from other business activities. So now investors out there are like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. We thought you were doing all this work with this and this and this. We thought all these partnerships were big, blooming, and blossoming. No. Most of their money has come from the selling of XRP, which means all that other stuff out there has been fluff. The SEC is going for the jugular, and I said it yesterday that March 26th is going to be a good date, and I'm checking Garmin, damn straight. Garmin says March 26th is today. There you go. Now, is this finalized? No, we're still going to wait for Ripple's response. The court is going to go through it. If the judge doesn't seem to find a good medium ground, guess what we're going to do? We're going to go to a jury trial of peers to determine the penalty. This is not about determining if what Ripple did was right or wrong. It was already determined by the judge in summary judgment what they did was wrong. All we're trying to figure out now is the penalty, and that $2 billion is nasty. So now we got to wait here for about a month to see Ripple's reply, and I'm very curious to see how the market is going to react to this. As of now, the market is green, ignoring the news, which is great for us in the short term, but let's see how this plays out. And as more news breaks, I'm going to bring it to you, whether it's good or bad, happy or sad. I'm not your dad. I'll catch you cool cats.